Hello guys. So now we shall be discussing regarding the internal structures of the hypothalamus. Okay. So what are the internal structures of the hypothalamus we have got? First of all, we will discuss there are three most important parts of hypothalamus. First of all, we will discuss what are these parts of hypothalamus. Within this part, the first part is having hypothalamic nuclei, but whatever it is, regarding these internal parts of the hypothalamus, we shall have a detailed discussion. Okay. So I'll draw the pictures and then I'll explain you, but before that let me write down some textual matter so that it would be easy for you. So regarding the internal structures of hypothalamus. So what are the internal structures of the hypothalamus? First of all, you have to know three important things. The first important thing is that we will discuss what are the structures of anterior inferior part of the lateral wall of the third ventricle. Now, what is third ventricle again here? Why are you discussing? You told me it is hypothalamus and again you are telling it is third ventricle. Actually, that is a cavity of the diencephalon where you have got thalamus and hypothalamus. So these things, whatever I am speaking right now, will be clear with the help of a picture. Okay. So I'll draw this, just look at whatever I'm writing. Anterior inferior part of lateral wall of third ventricle. So this is the first structure, first thing we shall be discussing. And second important thing we shall discuss is that we shall discuss what are all the internal structures that are present in the anterior wall of third ventricle. Structures in the anterior part of third ventricle. What are the structures that are present in the anterior part of third ventricle? Okay. And after that we shall discuss what are the structures that are present in the posterior part of the third ventricle. Structures in the posterior part of your third ventricle. So these are the three important things we shall be discussing under this topic. The first important thing goes like this, that what are the structures that are located in the anterior inferior part of the lateral wall of the third ventricle. So basically in the anterior inferior part of the lateral wall of the third ventricle, you have got hypothalamic nuclei. Hypothalamic nuclei. Next important thing is that structures that are present in the anterior part of the third ventricle. Anterior part of the third ventricle, there are many number of structures. For example, optic chiasma, tuber cinereum, you have got pituitary gland, you have got infundibulum, you have got posterior perforated substance. So there are many things that are located over here, but all those things we will discuss in the next lecture. Okay. Structures that are present in the posterior part of the third ventricle also we'll discuss later on, but our topic today, we shall be mainly focusing on what are the hypothalamic nuclei. What are hypothalamic nuclei? Hypothalamic nuclei, where are they located? They are located in the anterior inferior part of the lateral wall of third ventricle. Okay, so first of all, what I will do is that let me write some text about these hypothalamic nuclei before I exactly enter into the picture. Now, when it comes to the hypothalamic nuclei, there are two different ways how you can classify this hypothalamic nuclei. Okay. But first important classification is hypothalamic nuclei, whatever are there, they are grouped into two zones. One is called as medial zone, another one is called as lateral zone. Okay. Hypothalamic nuclei are basically divided or disposed into two different groups. One is called as a medial zone, another one is called as a lateral zone. So, hypothalamic nuclei are disposed in zones. So what are the two zones where this hypothalamic nuclei are dispersed? One zone is called as the medial zone, and the second zone over here is called as a lateral zone. Medial zone as well as the lateral zone. So what are these two different zones? For example, first we shall discuss about the medial zone, then we will discuss about the lateral zone. Okay. So first we will discuss about the medial zone and see what are the hypothalamic nuclei that are located in the medial zone. Medial zone. Now within this medial zone, there are three regions. What are these three regions? One region you call it as an anterior region. Okay. Other region over here is called as the middle region, anterior region, middle region, and the third important region you call it as a posterior region. Posterior region. What are the three regions? One you have is the anterior region, second you have is the middle region, and third is called as a posterior region. Now what is the other name for middle region? Middle region is also called as tubular region. Middle region is also called as tubular region. Okay, so what I will do is that first I will draw a picture and I will tell you what are the nuclei that are located in the anterior region, what are the nuclei that are located in the middle region, what are the nuclei that are located in the posterior region. After that, I will write down individually or separately. So let us completely discuss what are the nuclei that are located in the anterior region, middle and posterior, right? So I was telling you that in the internal structures of hypothalamus, it is a very lengthy topic. So we have got 1, 2, 3 important internal structures. Out of these three, the first one is anterior-inferior part of lateral wall of third ventricle. That also I will show you where is that. So there what do you have? Hypothalamic nuclei. So hypothalamic nuclei, how are you going to discuss? There are many hypothalamic nuclei. You have to divide them and discuss so that it would be easy. I will divide this hypothalamic. These, let us say there are let us say 8 or 9 hypothalamic nuclei. So I wanted to divide all these hypothalamic nuclei into two zones. So some nuclei are located in the medial zone, some nuclei are located in the lateral zone. So now first medial zone, again I am going to divide. In medial zone itself there are many again. Medial zone I will divide into anterior, which are on the back, posterior, and which are in the middle, that is middle region. Okay. So for that I am going to draw a picture, and again I am telling you that this picture whatever I am drawing, most of you who have watched my previous lectures, they know this. But if you are watching specifically the video on hypothalamic nuclei without watching the previous videos, then this picture you have to follow it. Okay. Right, for those who already know, you can just skip this video, skip this part of the diagram, okay. So, all of you know one very important thing. Let us say this is your cerebral hemispheres. Now, out of these, there is right cerebral hemisphere, there is left cerebral hemisphere. These two cerebral hemispheres are attached to each other. Now, this surface which you can see, this one as well as this one, this is called as supralateral surface. Now, if I am dividing the cerebral hemisphere like this surface which is in the medial side, this surface is called medial side of the hemisphere, supralateral and medial. Okay, now I am going to show you the medial side. Right, now here this is a cerebral hemisphere. Now here, if you see very clearly, this part which I am drawing right now is what is called as corpus callosum. Okay, this structure on the medial side is called corpus callosum. Corpus callosum is nothing but a commissural fibers that connect the right half of the hemisphere with the left half. Okay, this is corpus callosum. Now in this corpus callosum, this part over here which you can see over here, this part here is called as what? This is called as a genu of corpus callosum, GENU. Okay, so this part over here is called as a genu of corpus callosum. Next important thing is that this part of the corpus callosum which you can see over here, the green one, this is called as a splenium of corpus callosum. So this is called as your splenium of corpus callosum. Next, between the genu and between the splenium, you have got a band like this. This is what is called as your fornix. Okay, so this structure over here is called as the fornix. Okay, next, after the genu, this part which I am highlighting right now, okay, see this entire part which I am highlighting right now, this part is called as the body of the corpus callosum. Okay, so this part over here is called as your body of your corpus callosum. Next, in between the fornix and between the corpus callosum, this structure which I am drawing right now, between the fornix and between the body, you see this septum like thing which I am drawing right now, this septum like thing which I am drawing right now is nothing but called as your septum pellucidum. Where is it located? It is located in between the fornix below and the corpus callosum above. So this part over here is called as your septum pellucidum. Septum pellucidum. Septum pellucidum. Now, if you concentrate on the genu, okay, hanging down from the genu, there is a structure, there is a stalk-like structure here. This particular thing is called as a rostrum. Okay, what is this called as? This is called as a rostrum. Okay, and just beneath the rostrum, there is a commissure like this. This commissure which is located beneath the rostrum is called as anterior commissure. Why? Because this is a frontal pole, frontal lobe. This is the occipital lobe, occipital pole. So frontal lobe, towards the frontal lobe, this commissure is there. So you call it as frontal commissure or anterior commissure. So this one over here is called as your anterior commissure. Anterior commissure. This is called as your anterior commissure. Now hanging down from the anterior commissure all the way down, this particular structure which you can see like this, right? So this particular structure is nothing but called as your linea terminalis. Okay, so this particular structure whatever I have drawn over here is called as linea terminalis. This is called as linea terminalis. Next important thing, what is the next important thing over here? Attached to linea terminalis. Okay, attached to linea terminalis, this particular rounded structure which you can see, this rounded structure is nothing but called as your what? This is called as your optic chiasma. Okay, so this rounded structure is nothing but called as your optic chiasma. Okay, just behind this optic chiasma, you have got this particular stalk like thing. This is called as optic tract. Okay, so what is this thing called as? This thing over here is called as optic tract. Clear? Now behind the optic tract, you have got one structure in this way. So this structure is called as tuber cinereum. What is this structure called? Tuber cinereum. Now tuber cinereum joint, the tuber cinereum forms a conical projection. This conical projection is called as medial eminence. What is it? Medial eminence. Now hanging down from the medial eminence, you see this stalk. This stalk will continue like this, right? And there is a gland here. Now by looking at this, you can tell that this is a pituitary gland. And this stalk, what is this called as? This is called as pituitary stalk. So let me write it from the start. This part over here is called as your tuber cinereum. Tuber cinereum. So from this tuber cinereum, this stalk over here is called as pituitary stalk. Pituitary stalk. And attached to the pituitary stalk, this structure over here is called as your pituitary gland. Pituitary gland. Okay, right. Next important thing is that just attached to this tuber cinereum, you have got another structure like this. This one over here is called as your mammillary bodies. How many mammillary bodies you have got? You have got two mammillary bodies, one on the right, one on the left. From the side view, you can see only one, right? So this particular structure over here is nothing but called as your mammillary bodies. This is called as your mammillary bodies. Now behind this mammillary bodies, this tissue whatever is there here, this tissue has got some separations. You see these separations? This is called as perforations. This perforations is called as posterior perforated substance. This is called as posterior perforated substance. What is this? This is called as a posterior perforated substance. Next, just beneath this posterior perforated substance here, just beneath this posterior perforated substance, this particular part which I am drawing right now, this is called as your midbrain. What is this? This is called as your midbrain. Okay. Now, in the center of the midbrain, you have got an opening duct like this, you see. This duct which is located in the center of the midbrain, this entire thing is your midbrain, and exactly in the center of your midbrain, this particular duct which you have over here is what is called as aqueduct of Sylvius or cerebral aqueduct. So, this particular one over here is called as cerebral aqueduct. Cerebral aqueduct, or the other name is aqueduct of Sylvius. Okay, right. So, this is your posterior perforated substance. Next important thing here is that on the back here, on the back you have got a gland. This gland is called as pineal gland. Okay. Now, from the pineal gland you see a stalk that is coming front. This is called as pineal stalk. Now, what I am telling you is that this pineal stalk is divided into two portions. Okay. So, this was the thing I was telling you. This is called as pineal gland. Okay. Just in front of the pineal gland, this structure you see here, this is called as pineal stalk. This is called as pineal stalk. And this pineal stalk divides into two parts, right? So, let me use another color, divides into two parts. So, one is called as a superior lamina, which is going up, which is going down is called as the inferior lamina. Now, what is the scene of this superior lamina is that this superior lamina comes anteriorly forward, it goes posteriorly backward, again anteriorly forward, and then goes and attaches onto the top. Now, when it comes to the inferior lamina comes all the way down and attaches down here. Clear? So, one is called superior lamina, another one is called inferior lamina. How is superior lamina? Superior lamina is coming anteriorly forward, going posteriorly backward, again going anteriorly forward, and then going and attaching to the top. Inferior lamina, there are no more projections, it just comes and attaches there. Now, if this is superior lamina and inferior lamina, you see this triangular space here. This triangular space is nothing but called as, this empty space is nothing but called as a recess. For example, look here. See, this particular space, whatever I am showing it to you here, this particular space is nothing but called as your recess. Okay, so what is this recess? This recess is present near the pineal gland. So, you call this as a pineal recess. This is called pineal recess. Next, above this recess, you see another recess over here. So, you see another recess that is located above this pineal recess. This recess which is located above the pineal recess is nothing but called as suprapineal recess. Suprapineal recess. Okay. And second important thing is that if you look at the superior lamina, exactly near the ending part of superior lamina, you have got a commissure. If you look at the inferior lamina, here also you have got a commissure. Now, this commissure which is located near the superior lamina, this is called as habenular commissure. This is called as habenular commissure. Okay, this is called as your habenular commissure. And in the same way, this commissure over here is called as posterior commissure. Why? Because this one is called as anterior commissure. So, obviously, the next one will be called as a posterior commissure. So, this is called as your posterior commissure. Now, why did I draw this? The reason why I have drawn this is that you can see that this entire cavity over here in the center. Can you figure out this entire cavity which I have drawn right now? You see, this entire cavity which I am sketching right now with the yellow, this is nothing but called as your third ventricle. Okay, this is nothing but your third ventricle. Then what has to third ventricle do with the hypothalamus? Look here. If this is your third ventricle is divided into two parts. You see, third ventricle is actually divided into two parts. What are these two parts? The part which is present on the top is called as thalamus, and below the thalamus you will have hypo or epithalamus. Hypo, below it is called as hypothalamus. And what is this entire cavity? This is the cavity of diencephalon, or you can also call it as cavity of the third ventricle. Again I am telling, this entire thing is a cavity of diencephalon, or you can call it as a cavity of the third ventricle. So within this diencephalon, what are the structures you have got? You have got two structures. One structure is called thalamus, another structure below the thalamus is called as hypothalamus. Then what is this dotted line which is dividing the thalamus and the hypothalamus? This is called as a sulcus. What is the name of this sulcus? The name of the sulcus is hypothalamic sulcus. Hypothalamic sulcus. Okay, so this is called as hypothalamic sulcus. Now look here very carefully. Now we are talking mainly about this hypothalamus. Now within this hypothalamus, what did I tell you? If you go back to the statement, you will understand. So where are these hypothalamic nuclei located? Antero-inferior part of lateral wall of the third ventricle, right? Antero-inferior part. So all of you look here. This is hypothalamus. Where is anterior? This is anterior. Where is inferior? This is inferior. It means this is anterior, this is inferior. So this gap, this entire gap, this is the place where you call it as antero-inferior part, right? If I am drawing a vertical line, imaginary vector like this, so this entire part will be called as an antero-inferior part. So here you have got nuclei. It means, once again, see where is the anterior part? Where is the anterior part? Tell me, hypothalamus. Where is the anterior part? See, this is the anterior part. Where is the inferior part? See, this is the inferior part. It means this entire part is the place where we have got hypothalamic nuclei. So if I ask you, what will you tell? Where is the hypothalamic nuclei located? Hypothalamic nuclei is located in the antero-inferior part of the third ventricle. Okay. Now within this antero-inferior part of the third ventricle, we divided the hypothalamic nuclei into two zones, medial zone and lateral zone. Obviously this is the medial surface I told you. So this will be called as a medial zone. Medial zone is having how many regions? Anterior region, we have got middle region, we have got the posterior region. Okay. Now where is this anterior, middle as well as the posterior region? Just look here. I am rubbing this part, right? I am rubbing it as hypothalamus over here, right? So what did I tell you? Anterior part, middle part as well as the posterior part, right? So all of you look here. Where is the anterior part here? Where is the anterior part? Anterior region or anterior part? Anterior part is just above the optic chiasma. So exactly till here you have got, okay, let me use this color over here, right? See, exactly till here this is your anterior part. Okay, where is anterior part? Can I tell anterior part is located above the optic chiasma, right? Now where is the posterior part? Look here, till here is the posterior part. Where can I tell where is the posterior part? Posterior part is located, where is the posterior part? The entire part which is above the tuber cinereum, you see this part, okay? So this part is called as a posterior part. Where is the posterior part? The posterior part is located exactly above the tuber cinereum. So this is the anterior part. You see this entire part which is located just above the tuber cinereum, above your optic chiasma is called as the anterior part. Then where is the middle part? I have told you anterior part, middle part and posterior part. You see here anterior region, middle region and the posterior region, right? So where is the middle region? Middle region is located above your tuber cinereum. So this part is your tuber cinereum, right? So above your tuber cinereum in the sense this one, exactly here you have got your middle region. And where is the posterior region? Posterior region is located above your mammillary body. It means this entire part is your posterior region. Now you understood? So in this way we have got anterior region, middle region and posterior region, right? So now let me draw the nuclei of your anterior, middle as well as the posterior. First of all, let me draw the nuclei of your anterior region. In the anterior region, you see this particular nuclei which you have over here, right? Now what I will do is that, guys, to draw these nuclei, I will just rub out all these parts over here, okay? So when I rub out all these parts, it would be easy for me to name the nuclei, okay? Here also, because even I have to draw the nuclei on the back. So I hope this would be clear. Okay, let me use red for all the nuclei here. So all of you look here now. See here in the anterior region, I have got a nucleus like this. Okay. So what is the nucleus that is located in the anterior region here? Not even red. Red is also not good. Let me use blue. So this particular nucleus which you can see here, right? So this nucleus is located in the anterior region, and this nucleus, this hypothalamic nuclei is called as paraventricular nuclei. This nuclei is called as paraventricular nuclei, paraventricular nucleus. Paraventricular nucleus. Okay. Next important thing. Next important nuclei, where do you have? You have got that nuclei over here. You see, this nucleus which is located over here is nothing but called as your anterior nucleus. So this nucleus over here is called as your anterior nucleus. Anterior nucleus. Okay. Next important thing. Next important nuclei is, let me use the red color here, right? So next important nucleus is located exactly above your optic chiasm. This is your optic chiasma. If nucleus is located above your optic chiasma, so you have to call this as suprachiasmatic nuclei, right? So this nuclei over here is called as suprachiasmatic nuclei. So this nuclei over here, you call it as a suprachiasmatic nucleus. So where is the suprachiasmatic nucleus located? Above your optic chiasm. Just in front of that, you have got another nuclei here. Okay. So what is this nuclei called as? This is called as preoptic nucleus. So this nucleus over here is called as a preoptic nucleus. So one you have is the paraventricular nucleus. Next you have got is the anterior nucleus. Next you have got is the preoptic nucleus, and then suprachiasmatic nuclei. Next, we have got another important nuclei, right? So this nuclei is located behind the suprachiasmatic nuclei. Okay, so this nucleus over here is called as a supraoptic nuclei. So what is this nucleus over here called as? See, this nucleus over here is called as your supraoptic nucleus. Supraoptic nucleus. Now, what are the nuclei we have discussed over here? So the nuclei overall which we have discussed over here is one is called as your paraventricular nuclei. Next is your anterior nucleus. Next is your preoptic nucleus. Third we have discussed is the suprachiasmatic. Next we have discussed the supraoptic nucleus. So all these nucleus, can I tell they are located towards the anterior side, right? So can I write it here that in the anterior region, what are the nuclei you have got? So can I tell these are the nuclei that are located in the anterior region? Next we have to discuss what? Nuclei that are located in the middle region or the tubular region. Now what are the nuclei that are located in the middle region? All of you look here now. We have got three nuclei. You see, this is one nucleus. Okay. We have got the second nucleus. We have got the third nucleus. You have got the three important nuclei. Okay, let me save some space over here. See, this is the second nucleus over here, and then we have got the third nucleus. How many nuclei are located in the middle part? We have got the three nuclei in the middle part. What are these three? See, this particular nucleus over here, right? This particular nucleus over here is called as dorsomedian nucleus. Dorsomedian nucleus. When I tell dorsomedian, down, the part which is down is called as ventral. So ventromedian nucleus. Ventromedian nucleus. One is called as dorsomedian, another one is called as ventromedian. And this third nucleus which is in blue color, this is called as arcuate nucleus. This is called as arcuate nucleus. This is called as your arcuate nucleus. Okay. Next important thing. After this also, the next important nuclei, where do we have? We have got above the mammillary bodies, right? So above the mammillary bodies, we just have got two important nuclei. This is one red and one with the black. Okay. So what are these two nuclei? So this nuclei and this one. So one nuclei is called as the lateral nucleus and the other one is completely back, right? So posterior nucleus. So one you call it as the lateral nucleus. Another one you call it as a posterior nucleus. Posterior nucleus. So what are the different kinds of nuclei we have got? So in the middle part, in the middle region, we have got one is called as a dorsomedian nucleus. Next we have got is a ventromedian nucleus, and next we have got is a arcuate nucleus. Next, in the last part, we have got the lateral nucleus, and then we have got the posterior nucleus, right? So can I tell all these nuclei are located in the hypothalamus? All these nuclei are located in the anterior-inferior part. Again, I am telling you what is anterior-inferior part. See, this is anterior, this is inferior. In the center between anterior and inferior only, we have got this nuclei. And what did I tell you? Hypothalamic nuclei are divided into two zones. One is called as medial zone and lateral zone. In the medial zone also anterior, middle, posterior. Anterior you have got paraventricular, anteroinferior, preoptic, suprachiasmatic and supraoptic. Middle you have got dorsomedian nucleus, ventromedian nucleus, arcuate nucleus. And in the back you have got lateral nucleus, posterior nucleus. So these are the nuclei that are located in the hypothalamus, that too in the medial part. So let us write down all these things, guys. So whatever we have just discussed, we have discussed that the medial zone, is having nuclei. The first important nuclei here is the anterior region. So in the anterior region, what are the nuclei you have studied? The first nucleus which you have studied is the supraoptic nucleus. Next, after that you have studied is the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Okay, and after that you have studied is a preoptic nucleus. Preoptic nucleus. Fourth important thing is your paraventricular nucleus. Fifth important thing is your anterior nucleus. Okay, how do you remember this? Remember it by a mnemonic PASS, PASS. So here it is PASS, PASS. Okay. Next, what are the nuclei that are located in the middle zone? What are the nuclei that are located in the middle region? In the middle region, we have got 1, 2 and 3 nuclei. What are these 1, 2 and 3 nuclei? One, you call it as a dorsomedial nucleus. Okay, next you have got is a ventromedial nucleus. And third one you call it as a arcuate nucleus. Other name for the arcuate nucleus is infundibular nuclei. Okay, so this is the nucleus that are located in the middle region. Next, what are the nuclei that are located in the posterior region? Anterior, middle as well as the posterior region. So the nuclei that are located in the posterior region are two, right? One is called as a lateral nucleus, another one is called as a posterior nucleus. So all these are the nuclei which are the hypothalamic nuclei. Okay, so this is one method of classification, and there is also another method of classification of both medial and lateral nuclei, right? So that classification we shall discuss in the next lecture. So I think this is all the important things which you need to know regarding the first part, that is the anteroinferior part of the lateral wall of third ventricle. So thank you so much for watching my video. Goodbye.